I got involved because I was doing some journalism on Quake at the time. Got RSI, so I couldn't play Quake anymore. Started a news site and subsequently discovered that a whole bunch of people were making these little things called Quake movies. Got dragged in by a friend because they knew I could, put words together, and subsequently ended up quitting university to do it professionally.
Excellent. At the dawn of the millennium, a man called Hugh Hancock founded a company called Machinima Incorporated. After becoming immersed in a small underground community who made video game shorts via Quake, he decided to launch a site that would serve as a central resource hub for these types of films. Without a widely used video platform back then, Machinima.com practically became the go-to place for these types of films, and soon encompassed multiple game engines. Even though Hugh Hancock resigned as the editor-in-chief of Machinima in 2006, his experience with this medium and the website as a whole were used in his later projects. He made more of these films before advancing into motion capture, live action, and game development with a focus on VR technology, a path that started as a little creative hobby that stemmed from a video game. Hancock tragically died of a heart attack in February of this year. He was 40 years old. So, how has everyone been finding Call of Duty Black Ops 4? Because personally, it's a shoo-in for my top 10 of the year. While I am in the camp that says that removing the single player in favour of a Battle Royale mode wasn't worth it, the zombie mode and especially the multiplayer more than made up for it. I haven't had this much fun in a multiplayer game in ages, save for Siege, which has pretty much proven that Treyarch are the A-team for this series. But I knew it was going to be a package for me, because of a small thing that may seem insignificant on the main menu. Theatre mode. Just seeing it there made me really happy, as I've been an advocate for the mode's inclusion in a lot of games, mainly thanks to the benefits I've gained in the past due to its inclusion in Halo 3. I decided to play some more of the game, and I managed to get a decent clip in the process, and I decided to have some fun with the feature. Unfortunately, in practice, it ended up being a hair-pulling experience to the point of sheer bafflement. On the surface, it looks okay, but when you go into a recording from, say, Domination or any objective-based game type and turn on director mode, it starts falling apart. You can't turn off on-screen clutter like the objective markers, and the option to turn off the heads-up display doesn't take away the chat box. And weirdly, even if you are in director mode, the sound you hear is coming from the point of view of the last player the camera was attached to. There are other things I don't like the fact that there is no camera zoom option, which is different than simply placing the camera closer to the subject. My point is that it's arguably one of the most weirdly broken theatre modes I've seen in years. The positive side is that I can finally talk about this oddly specific feature, and why I think its inclusion not only lengthens a game's shelf life, but can be beneficial to the players long term. I know this is a very specific and niche feature, found in a very small number of games, though it isn't as demanded of a feature like mod support, split screen, dedicated servers, or just being downright functional. Still, I think developers have much more to gain from theatre mode than some of those other features in the long term. Unlike mod support, its inclusion isn't a matter of asset accessibility or file management planning, it's a matter of logging gameplay information, which the industry has been doing for quite some time, for the purposes of catching cheaters, or to track player behaviour for market and game design research. I remember Deus Ex Mankind Divided doing so, all the way down to sending Square Enix metrics regarding the precise moment you make a jump. Since this is already pretty standard in the industry, it's only a matter of translating that recorded player activity into a playback system and making that system accessible to the user. Have the camera detach itself from the user, make the heads-up display completely invisible, implement controls for basic visual feedback, and you have a very simple theatre mode that can do wonders. People might say that's quite bare bones, since Halo 3 had a camera zoom button, Black Ops 4 itself has a dolly camera system, and Grand Theft Auto 5 and the Source-powered games have built entire communities around creating a variety of cinematics using some really complex tools, but you can do a lot with even bare-bones systems like the one I described. And I know that because I've done it with said bare-bones systems. I actually dug up an old channel of mine, and, minor confession, I was actually a partner of Machinima, in the sense that I could upload my scripted content onto their channel. Sadly, most of it is gone thanks to their bewildering internal curation system, but one of the few videos that was saved was a Black Ops Machinima I made, which used only those bare-bones systems for its cinematography. No dolly camera, no mods, just 2 controllers, theatre mode, and an editing software. Theatre mode gives people an opportunity to express their creativity if they lack money or time to invest in personnel, equipment, and red tape needed to make even a short film. Games, in comparison, are affordable, and with consoles now coming with methods to share your gameplay onto social media platforms, and PC screen capturing technologies no longer requiring a down payment, it's easier to do, and needed, as having that creative outlet is beneficial for both the player and consumer. This mode can also be a gateway to becoming part of the games industry. Edgeworks Entertainment made the Halo 2 Codex series and are now a mobile game development company. Jordan Mathewson started making Halo 3 Machinima and is now a lead developer at Ilphonic. Litfuse Films made Ignis Solus, and now their work encompasses several high-profile games, from Mass Effect 2 to The Wolf Among Us to the upcoming Gears 5. And that's not accounting for personal development. Starting from the simple mode could expand as experimentation into other genres of filmmaking and other game engines could have unintentional benefits. I went from theatre mode focused works to Minecraft sprite building time-lapses, and that required coordination with other players, involving direction communication and schedule management, elements that can be applied to the workplace environment and general living. It can also be used as a way for people to understand the art of patience. In a way, and I don't mean to toot my own horn here, I am living proof of what theatre modes can inspire in fans. My long journey towards creating this channel and these videos would have likely never happened had I not gotten my toes wet in early Machinima thanks to theatre mode. In addition, while making contacts and learning personal skills, whether it be for body acting or asset gathering, this mode gives players the opportunity to engage with like-minded individuals and form long-term friendships. You heard of Core Ideas? We met nearly a decade ago through some of the same social circles, and I consider him a brother, more a sibling than my actual sibling in fact. We've worked together, we've shared the same tastes, and I doubt we would have been introduced to each other if it wasn't for a social circle born from a community that was created thanks to the inclusion of a theatre mode in Halo 3. Reflecting on my past experiences gives me plenty of reasons why big-budgeted online video games should have a theatre mode. Of course, not all games can implement such a feature. I can't imagine games like Child of Light and Hollow Knight having an exhaustive spectator mode, but games like Rainbow Six Siege could benefit from having a feature to create dramatic shorts, like COD 4's Retaliation series, or perhaps self-aware productions that acknowledge that it's a video game, like RB and the Chief. Having a theatre mode reaps benefits for gaming communities and developers, thanks to an exhaustive list that the feature is the nucleus of. Theatre mode creates communities. Theatre mode strengthens transferable skills. Theatre mode connects people together. Theatre mode gives out a creative platform. Theatre mode contributes to personal development. Theatre mode creates opportunities. And as far as the games industry is concerned, the sharing of such content created in the mode means that theatre mode promotes games. Do you think Bungie would have acknowledged John CJG if his series didn't possibly contribute to at least a good portion of Halo 3's success? Do you think Bungie would have implemented such a feature if the ever-popular Red vs. Blue never showcased that there was a community hungry for accessible tools? Because personally, I don't think so. Of course, going back to Black Ops 4 brings up the question as to why my specific problems really matter in this game. After all, you could go into a free-for-all and simply body act in there, and if you really wanted to get gameplay clips, it does its job. It records gameplay, but I think montage makers could benefit from using camera angles and cinematography to make their showcases more entertaining and more memorable. Think about it. How many montages of the past do you truly remember? Because I can name a few. The Zergriz Matrix trilogy, Ecstasy, Archeo, Scalper V4, and my personal favourites, The Spirits Within, and each of them have one thing in common. They used animation, theatre mode, or other means to add something to the gameplay. And sure, a lot of these were works of their time and haven't aged well, thanks to rapidly improving video quality, and the colour correction and effects being a bit overblown, but the point is that I still remember these montages over a decade after their creation, thanks to taken creative liberties made available by tools the developers provided. So using a creative outlet would add another layer to what would otherwise be mundane clips, and transform them into something memorable and engaging. It's a hugely beneficial addition for games in the long term, and some of the skills you can learn from creating, organising, editing, and publishing a video can carry with you for years or decades to come. And I know that because I've been there. Not all games are suitable for theatre mode, but I do think the industry should make an effort to include theatre mode in the core game if they can, because the benefits are too great for it to be left ignored. Oh, and if you want to see how far my video quality has come, there's a playlist to my previous stuff in the description. Good night!